Hello, my name's Angie, and I had this idea that I wanted to read out loud, and I thought that reading out loud would help me focus on the book and retain it more. I think that's why they have you do that in school. So this is the book I've been wanting to read. I keep starting and stopping it. I'm a big E.M. Forster fan, and I have not read this novel yet. Like I said, I keep stopping and starting it, and it's just not sinking in my brain. So I think if I can read it out loud, maybe it will help with my focus. And so go Google E.M. Forster, Edward Morgan Forster, learn about his life. He's a very interesting person. He wrote some wonderful books. I'm a huge fan of A Room with a View and Howard's End and Maurice. So the first chapter is fairly short, and I'm probably going to make some mistakes and mispronunciations. I apologize. I am not an English teacher or a literature expert. I just want to read out loud. So here we go. Chapter 1, A Passage to India. Except for the Marabar Caves, and they are 20 miles off, the city of Chandrapur presents nothing extraordinary. Edged rather than washed by the river Ganges, it trails for a couple miles along the bank, scarcely distinguishable from the rubbish it deposits so freely. There are no bathing steps on the riverfront, as the Ganges happens not to be holy here. Indeed, there is no riverfront, and bazaars shut out the wide and shifting panorama of the stream. The streets are mean, and the temples ineffective, and though a few fine houses exist, they are hidden away in gardens or down alleys whose filth deters all but the invited guest. Chandrapur was never large or beautiful, but 200 years ago it lay on the road between Upper India, then Imperial, and the sea, and the fine houses date from that period. The zest for decoration stopped in the 18th century, nor was it ever democratic. In the bazaars, there is no painting and scarcely any carving. The very wood seems made of mud, the inhabitants of mud moving. So abased, so monotonous is everything that meets the eye, that when the Ganges comes down, it might be expected to wash the excrescence back to the soil. Houses do fall, people are drowned and left rotting, but the general outline of the town persists, swelling here, shrinking there, like some low but indestructible form of life. Inland, the prospect alters. There is an oval maiden and a long, sallow hospital. Houses belonging to Eurasians stand on high ground by the railway station. Beyond the railway, which runs parallel to the river, the land sinks, then rises, again rather steeply. On the second rise is laid out the civil station, and viewed hence, Chandrapur appears to be a totally different place. It is a city of gardens. It is no city, but a forest sparsely scattered with huts. It is a tropical pleasance, washed by a noble river. The toddy palms and neem trees and mangoes and peepful that were hidden behind the bazaars now become visible, and in their turn hide the bazaars. They rise from the gardens whose ancient tanks nourish them. They burst out of stifling, purelious, and unconsidered temples. seeking light and air, and endowed with more strength than man or his works, they soar above the lower deposit to greet one another with branches and beckoning leaves, and to build a city for the birds. Especially after the rains do they screen what passes below, but at all times, even the scorched or leafless, they glorify the city to the English people who inhabit the rise, so that newcomers cannot believe it is as meager as it is described, and have to be driven down to acquire disillusionment. As for the civil station itself, it provokes no emotion. It charms not, neither does it repel. It is sensibly planned, with a reddish brick club on its brow, and further back a grocer's and a cemetery, and the bungalows are disposed along rows and intersect at right angles. It is nothing hideous in it, and only the view is beautiful. It shares nothing with the city except the overarching sky. The sky, too, has its changes, but they are less marked than those of the vegetation and the river. Clouds map it up at times, but it is normally a dome of blending tints, and the main tint blue. By day, the blue will pale down into white where it touches the white of the land. After sunset, it has a new circumference, orange, melting towards the tenderest purple, but the core of blue persists, and so it is by night. Then the stars hang like lamps from the immense vault. The distance between the earth and them is nothing to the distance behind them, and that further distance, though beyond color, last freed itself from blue. The sky settles everything, not only climates and seasons, but when the earth shall be beautiful. By herself, she can do little, only feeble outbursts of flowers. But when the sky chooses, glory can rain into the Chandrapur bazaars, or a benediction pass from the horizon to horizon. The sky can do this because it is so strong and so enormous. Strength comes from the sun, infused in it daily, sized from the prostrate earth. No mountains infringe on the curve. League after league of the earth lies flat, heaves a little, is flat again. Only in the south, where a group of fists and fingers are thrust up through the soil, is the endless expanse interrupted. These fists and fingers are the Marabar Hills, containing the extraordinary caves. End of chapter 1.